This is how I created my audiobook for my debut novel, The Blood Vier. So with audiobooks, there's a couple different things you can do. When I first started looking into this, like maybe that was over a year ago now, Findaway Voices had an option to where you could produce it through them and then distribute it on their platform. Since Spotify bought them out, they no longer offer that. There are a couple other places that will produce the audiobook for you, but I don't think there's very many, and most of them it's pretty expensive up front, I'm gonna say. So there's also ACX. That's what a lot of indie authors use. That's what I used. My issue with ACX is that I needed two narrators because this book, it's a young adult fantasy and it's written in dual point of view, one from the main character's perspective and then another from another main character who's a guy's perspective. And so since it's written in first person, I want to make sure there's two narrators. Now going through ACX, you only have the option to sign a contract with one narrator. So I was like, well, it's not going to work. Because if I wanted to have two, I would have to pay for both of them up front. Because there's a couple different things you could do on ACX. You can do per finished hour PFH, and you pay them up front for the audiobook. They also have royalty share. I'm going to say that's harder to get someone to agree to, but you basically, I don't think there's any upfront costs. And then as you get royalties, ACX automatically, you get half and the narrator gets half. It's probably like a better bargain for someone who knows like a book's going to be really big, or if it's like a newer narrator trying to get experience. And then they also have royalty share plus, which is when you pay like less than their regular per finished hour, and then they also get a share of the royalties. So that's like if you don't have everything up front, but you have like a little bit just to like, so they are covered on their end. And so, but I couldn't do anything with that because I needed two and it only works for one, and because they can't split it like 3 different ways. And also if you do royalty share or royalty share plus, you can't distribute anywhere else. You're completely exclusive with Audible, iTunes, and something, whatever 3 it is. You have to be exclusive with them. And I knew that I did not want to be exclusive at all because I wanted to be able to get in libraries. Why? Because I hate paying for audiobooks. I hate paying for like any digital thing if it's like more than a couple dollars. I just know. I listen to probably at least 50 audiobooks a year, and they're almost all from the library. Now I do have some deals where I go in and I get some on Audible, or some really long books that are my favorite that I do have the audios for. But I pretty much exclusively go through the library, and I don't like paying, especially for a digital product that I don't know if I'm going to like it. So I wanted to be able to have that option. So what I had to do for this is, so you can either do both outside and upload your own files, or what you can do is one narrator gets the ACX to where they're uploading it, they get the contract with them, and then you signed another contract with another narrator and they send their files to the ACX narrator. Sorry, it's a little confusing. ACX narrator to upload to them. So what I did is I went on ACX, I claimed my book, and I opened up auditions. I got actually quite a lot, I think, probably like 30 to 40, I want to say. And I tried to be like, hey, I have, what was the amount? I only had like 15,000 characters, 15,000 words for Vladimir, and then Taryn was the rest of it. So she had a much bigger part. So I was estimating that one narrator was only gonna have to do like 2 hours of audio, and I didn't know if that was gonna be an issue with some people. But I set up auditions, and I had a bunch of auditions come in. They ranged from a lot of different things. So I narrowed it down to, I had one that I really liked for Taryn, because there were some that submitted and they were really good, but it just like wasn't quite the right fit for the character, if that makes sense. Because I remember there's one I was like, ooh, she's good, but that's just not the right voice. And then Vladimir, I narrowed it down to 2. And so I forget who I emailed first. I may have emailed the Taryn's narrator first. And so I emailed and I said, hey, would you be interested in narrating this audiobook? And then you like work out all like the fine details and like time frame and per finished hour rate and stuff like that. And then my first pick for Vladimir, I emailed, and he was like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize this was a dual narration project, and I don't work on those. So that was kind of disappointed, but that's okay. And so then I reached out to my second choice, which I really liked, but the one he submitted, he sounded like almost like a little too old for the part of Vladimir, but he was really good. So I was like, could we try like one more time and see if we can get like a little bit of a younger voice? And so we got it that time, and it was really good. And he actually did a really good job on Vladimir's voice. I really like him. So I kind of like, I didn't know what they needed, because let me just tell you, it was really hard to find answers about this. I will say something that really helped was writing groups or author groups on Facebook, because I was trying to Google questions for stuff that I had no answers for. Like, are you supposed to pay them up front? Do you pay them halfway? Do you pay them at certain marks? Like, how does this work? What is something you should be nervous about? I had no idea. And so I wasn't finding answers on Google. So I finally started asking in some writing groups and got some great answers there. But some of it was just like uncharted territory, and I was like, I think it's like their thing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. So I created like a pronunciation guide for them. I have no idea what I was doing with that pronunciation guide. I just sounded it out. I don't know. Apparently it worked. It was good. And I also sent them a audio file, because it's just easier for me to voice what I'm hearing, because I don't know if I actually wrote it out correctly. So, but I sent them that, and then one of them asked for, it was like a character chart, kind of just like the age, and then like personality wise, like what their type of character was. And so I had to fill that out. So that was kind of a lot of work trying to like put all that together and give that to them. So, but after that, it was pretty smooth, I want to say. One of the narrators, it was a shorter part, it was Vladimir's part, so they sent me all their files at once, which theirs was actually pretty easy to approve. I think I did that all in one night. So when I approved the audio files, there was a couple chapters I listened to several times, but then there was a point it was just like, I can't do this. So I would actually have the physical book, and I would be listening and then checking for like what's it called? Mistakes or whatever. But I would like literally follow through and like listen for anything in the audio that was like, shouldn't be there, like noises in the background and stuff like that. And Taryn's narrator, she actually uploaded them like as she did them, and that was really awesome, because it's much easier for me to do like one piece at a time, like come home, okay, I got these, instead of come home and you got like 50 files you gotta listen to. So, but it was a great process. They both were fantastic, and then there was just like a couple little things that I sent back to have them fix, and they were both very good about getting them put back on. Once everything was uploaded, I sent them each my corrections, and then they like re-corrected it and re-uploaded, and I just went back through real fast to check and make sure that it was still up there. And then ACX actually like doesn't release the files to you until you can like confirm that you paid for them, and both of them did through PayPal. And so then you get the files released to you. And something you need to know is when you submit the files for like ACX validation, like once it clears, it is published, it is out there. And so I didn't know that. I thought there was still going to be like where you got to a retail page once you got the files. So I had been messing around with my exclusive, non-exclusive part on the audiobook, and I didn't know if like the narrators needed to know it was going to eventually be non-exclusive and then move to exclusive. And so I had it set to non-exclusive when it published, and I didn't realize that for a little bit. And so my plan going in was to stay exclusive with Audible for 3 months. That way people who are going to buy it there anyways, I would get the high royalty. So if you are exclusive with Audible, you get 40% royalties. If you are not exclusive, you get 25% royalties. It's a great day to be an indie author, guys. But Brandon Sanderson is awesome, and apparently Audible is supposed to be changing those royalty rates sometime this year. So this is getting really long. I'm going to go to part 2.